We have a major update on the AEW return of CM Punk, and more releases are expected in WWE very soon. But first, the Briscoes have been a key part of the relaunched Ring of Honor under the leadership of Tony Khan. Following the passing of Jay Briscoe, his brother Mark now embarks on a journey into the singles division, with him now set to battle for one of the company's top championships. After vacating the ROH World Tag Championships, with the belts now set to be on the line in a Reach for the Sky ladder match at Supercard of Honor on March 31st, Mark is now in line for an ROH television title match against Samoa Joe on the very same event. If Briscoe reigns supreme, the win would mark his first singles title of his 21-year-long ROH career, having already held the 6-man tag and world tag straps in the past, whilst also being a 2-time Honor Rumble winner. This would also bring an end to Samoa Joe's first reign with the belt. Former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jay White would become a free agent earlier this month, with him now on the radar of both All Elite Wrestling and World Wrestling Entertainment. Speaking on the future of Switchblade in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter today, Dave Meltzer would reveal that right now it's a 50-50 situation between the United States' 2 top promotions, and he would say, regarding Jay White, we are told that White has been talking to WWE but has not signed. He is also talking to AEW. From someone familiar with the situation, they described it as a 50-50 which side he would go with. A top star that is said to be heading to AEW is AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo, somebody who has long been rumoured to be making their AEW debut. According to WRKD Wrestling, the Luchador will be heading to All Elite Wrestling very soon, with them taking to Twitter to note, Vikingo will be making an AEW appearance shortly. Whilst it hasn't been confirmed, many now expect Vikingo to be involved in tonight's Dream Match announcement on AEW Rampage. This after AEW President Tony Khan took to Twitter to say, I'll have an announcement today of a long-awaited Dream Match for Wednesday's Dynamite, which we'll profile on Rampage tonight. In 2017, work began on a biopic centered around the life of WWE chairman Vince McMahon, which was to be named Pandemonium. However, this week, the director of the movie has revealed that the plans have now been scrapped. According to John Requa, during an interview with SlashFilm.com, Vince himself called for the project to be nixed, with him noting, Pandemonium is dead, sadly. Vince killed it. We have never in our career had the studio, we had an actor, everybody was just like, let's make this movie, and Vince said, we're not making it. So yeah, we are on a very long list of people who got effed over by Vince McMahon. Nikki and Brie, the Bella Twins, would this week reveal that they are now free agents after their WWE contracts came to an end, with them now going by the name of the Garcia Twins, their maiden surname. As is typical with WWE releases or expired contracts, this led to speculation that they could be AEW bound, especially with them being spotted at the Revolution pay-per-view recently. Well, Nikki would clarify the situation on Twitter this week, with her revealing that their attendance was nothing more than a family visit for Bryan Danielson, who is Brie's husband, and Nikki would take to Instagram Live to say, we're not going to AEW, I know I've seen a lot of that because I think we were just there visiting Renee and Paige. I was like, I haven't had the opportunity to take my son backstage to a wrestling event, and when he knew Uncle Brian was going to be there, Mateo loves his Uncle Brian, Brie and I were like, we have to go see Brian, the kids had so much fun. WrestleMania 39 is quickly approaching, and one of the names that we know won't be competing on the show is The Rock, despite the event taking place in Los Angeles, California, the home of Hollywood. Recently, a report emerged from Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the Great One isn't taking part in the show due to not having the time to get into in-ring shape due to his busy schedule. Former WWE writer Brian Gewirtz, who now works for Rock's 7 Bucks production company, would address the story this week during an interview with Bill Simmons, and he would deny any truth to the report and said, a source tells Dave Meltzer The Rock is not going to make it to WrestleMania because he feels he doesn't have time to get into match shape. That is not the reason. Whether it happens or doesn't happen, I know it's a line. It just took a life of its own where all of a sudden everyone reading it on the internet and Twitter takes it as fact, to the point where Roman Reigns goes on The Tonight Show and tells Jimmy Fallon, I understand Rock made a statement and doesn't have the time to get into in-ring shape. I'm watching this like, what? What statement? Show me the statement. There is no statement. This is a quote from some stooge reported to a Wrestling Insider newsletter, and now it's written into granite and stone. That's the stuff that drives me nuts. And before we get to the rest of today's stories, be sure to subscribe to WrestlePlanet if you haven't done so already, as we aim to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And also head over to WrestlePlanet Gaming if you're into wrestling video games, ahead of the launch of both AEW Fight Forever and WWE 2K23. But with that said, let's get to the rest of the video. Over recent days, old photos emerged of WWE superstars LA Knight and Becky Lynch, leading to speculation on social media that the two were formerly a couple. Well, this theory has officially now been debunked thanks to one of the individuals involved, with LA Knight responding to a fan on Twitter, and the fan would tweet, "Why did I just now all of a sudden hear that LA Knight and Becky Lynch used to date? LMAO, I really did not know this at all." LA Knight was then quick to clarify the situation and said, "Because we didn't, we were friends, you're jumping to bullshit conclusions. Let me squash that before you guys take this anywhere." CM Punk hasn't been seen inside an AEW ring since the controversies of last fall, which saw him win the AEW World Championship in the main event of the All Out pay-per-view, getting injured in the match before going on a media scrum tirade and ultimately getting into a backstage brawl with the Elite. FTR's Dax Harwood has now provided an update on the AEW status of Punk this week in an interview with Inside the Ropes, where he revealed that he doesn't know of any plans to bring him back, before later hinting that he may just be keeping things a secret. And he would say, "So a few months ago, I wasn't even there, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't in AEW, we left. I think the last time we were at AEW as a talent was the middle of December, so I haven't been there. So I have no clue, and if I did have a clue, I wouldn't tell anybody, because again, it's that mystique, you know? It's that mystique of what's real, what's not real." Interestingly, Dax would then bring up Dave Meltzer, who has been criticized by some for his coverage of the Elite CM Punk situation, with Harwood noting that the narrative within AEW has shifted in Punk's favor, and he would say, "Yeah, Dave Meltzer's tune also kind of changed recently. I got a text from my podcast co-host Matt Kuhn just the other day, and it was a text from Dave, and he said, it seems like someone, I'm talking about me, has changed the narrative on Punk, and now it's looking more positive." So I don't know, I have no idea, and if I did have an idea how close we were, there's no way I would tell it, because there is a mystique, and wrestling, there's a wall we have to keep up, and I think it's fun to keep that wall up sometimes. Next, we have a fresh report from WrestlingNews.co, which details some backstage concerns in WWE. There is said to be unhappiness amongst individuals that are not involved with the upcoming WrestleMania event, as well as the decision to bring in legends and celebrities to fill some of the spots on the card. The report also reveals that there's been talks that WWE could be set to release talent from their contracts in the near future, and Wrestling News would write, "There has been chatter among talent and staff that releases could be coming sometime after WrestleMania, as the company is cutting back on expenses during WrestleMania week. The belief is that the company want to trim back costs as much as possible before a potential sale. One person who works behind the scenes is under the belief that releases, whether it's talent, backstage, or office staff, or all three, are coming soon. If releases are indeed coming, this has not been relayed to the people we spoke to, but we know of at least one person who is preparing for life outside of WWE." And before you go, why not check out how to import custom music into WWE 2K23.